I thought meditation doesn't work for me, but honestly it's because I was using the wrong type. When I realised there were multiple types and I needed to tailor what type I used based on my circumstance, my life literally changed. You might think meditation doesn't work for you, but let me ask you this, did you try the right type of meditation? Let me tell you, there are so many different types of meditation techniques, and the one you use depends on what you're trying to achieve. Are you trying to be more present and slow down? Are you trying to manifest? Are you trying to rationalize your possibly irrational thoughts? Your answer dictates what type of meditation you should be trying. A common misconception of meditation is that there's one way to do it and it either works or it doesn't, and that could not be more wrong. So I'm going to talk you through 3 different meditation techniques that I use, when I use them, and how I use them. So here we go. Let's roll the intro. Right? Subscribe! I love you guys. If you're a classic overthinker, like me, and often get into like a downward spiral of anxious or irrational thoughts, then you're going to want to pay attention to this first technique. So this is actually the first type of meditation that worked for me. I tried other types before, but this is the first one where I was like, damn, like, I've noticed how this can really impact me in a positive way. So what you do is you sit in stillness. You sit there, eyes closed, and you let your mind go wherever it wants to go. The key is you don't fight it. I know a lot of other forms of meditation, and the idea a lot of people have about meditation is that you're supposed to focus your thoughts elsewhere, but it depends what type. For this type, you don't fight anything. You don't try to go against the grain. You don't try to stop your mind from doing what it's naturally doing. Essentially, if there's a lot on your mind, it gives you a quiet, calm and controlled setting for you to be able to have these thoughts and think them through. A lot of the time when I have these kind of thoughts, I need to just talk myself out of it, but I need that mental space, that mental quietness to be able to do it, and then I can rationalize, etc. But I can't do that unless I actually sit in stillness and give myself that mental space to do it. And it doesn't mean that you can only do this technique when you have anxious or irrational thoughts. It's not like that at all. It actually works better if you're consistent with it and you do it every day, whether you're having a good day or a bad day. So if it's a day when you don't actually have anything that's disturbing your peace in your mind and you feel pretty good, you're going to do the same thing. Let your mind go wherever it wants to go. You could be thinking about your to-do list. You could be thinking about what you're going to make for dinner. You could be thinking about like reminiscing over like old times, like wherever your mind goes. It's like you create your own safe space. And as you do it consistently, you'll notice that the bad days, you're able to solve or eliminate those anxious or irrational thoughts a lot faster. I also personally found I was able to gain perspective on my situation so much easier. And as I've mentioned so many times before, perspective is everything, and if you are able to change the narrative of your situation, you are in control and you're in power. And this is a perfect technique to be able to switch the narrative and change the way you look at something. What's happened with me doing this meditation is, as I'm doing it, as soon as even if I'm in such a bad, negative, dark mental space, where my thoughts are just spiraling, once I go back into that setting, which I do every day, very soon into that meditation session, I'm able to gain so much perspective over my situation, and something that felt huge suddenly doesn't feel that big anymore. And I'm not saying that whatever it is that's bothering you, whatever anxious thoughts, don't hold weight. Of course they do. Of course they have value. They always do, whether they're rational or irrational. But the point is, I was able to see them from a perspective which made them not feel that bad anymore. And that's the ultimate goal, right? You just want to be able to be in a situation where you don't let those thoughts affect you the way they do. You want to have control over them. You don't want them to be able to have control over you. And I just found that through doing this technique consistently, I was able to gain that perspective. When I spiral, I get so sucked into my thoughts, so sucked into the anxiety, that I feel like my entire world is collapsing around me. Whether it is or isn't, it feels genuinely like the end of the world. And that's what this has really helped with. When I gain that perspective, it's like it just shrinks. My problem, my thoughts, whatever it is, it just shrinks to a size that's a lot more manageable. And then I can look at that, I can objectively look at that, and I can think, okay, how am I going to work on this? How am I going to solve this? Or it might be like, you know what? This doesn't need any of my energy. This doesn't require any of my energy. It's not, it doesn't need anything. I just built it up in my head. And then you can actually just let it go and leave it in the past. And obviously that all depends on the situation. But the point is, the perspective that you can gain can be so powerful from doing this technique. The second technique is if you want to manifest a particular reality for yourself, whether it's getting a promotion at work, being a homeowner, being in a healthy, loving relationship, whatever it is, visualization meditation can be so powerful. There's a lot that goes into manifesting, and visualization is only part of it. A very, very powerful part, but just part, so just bear that in mind. The way it works is you think about what you want and you need to visualize it in as much detail as you can. The moment when you collect the keys for your new home, the process of you moving in, your first night, the first time you're cooking a meal in your new place, whatever it is, think of a specific scenario related to that thing that you want to manifest and think about it in as much detail as you can. Like, go for it. You know those unhelpful scenarios you make in your head when you try to go to sleep about the guy you like? This is the perfect time to put those skills to use. And the most important part of this is you need to feel how you would feel if you had it. If you were in that scenario and you were living out that thing, how would it feel? If you are a crier, like me, hi, hello, crier here. Personally, I would cry with happiness. For everything that I want, everything that's personally on my manifestation list, I would be crying so much at the moment when I'm like, oh my God, I've done it. I got it. I saved up for this and I bought my house. Whatever it is. That moment when you're like, I did it. I did it. Think about that moment. Go to that moment and visualize how it plays out. Think about everything to do with what your life would look like having that thing. Think about how you'd behave. Kind of watch yourself. How would you be behaving? How would you be dressing? How would you be carrying yourself? Every little detail. So doing this leaves an impression on your subconscious mind because your subconscious mind can't tell the difference between reality or something you're imagining. So the more realistic the thing is that you're imagining, the more likely it is to create emotions in you, and the more likely it is to actually manifest. I've had times where I have sobbed, like been crying through a visualization meditation, because I have got so into the feeling of what I'd be feeling in that moment that I've just been streaming. I've literally just been streaming tears because I can feel exactly what it would feel like. Now, although visualization meditation is so powerful for when it comes to manifesting a certain thing you want or a certain lifestyle you want, remember that it doesn't have to be so extreme like that. You can imagine yourself happy. You can imagine yourself healthy. You may not think of that as manifesting, but it is all essentially the same thing. Visualization meditation can be such a powerful mood booster if you imagine yourself just in a better scenario, just happy, healthy, thriving, just good. And when you come out of that meditation, you've got that feeling, you've carried that with you, and you're gonna feel that. You're gonna genuinely feel that when you come out. If you do it really strongly and you think about those emotions, like I said, and you really picture it in as much detail as you can, the effect that it can have on your mood is crazy. Whenever I start my day with visualization meditation, my day is so much better. I'm so much more productive, I'm motivated, I'm optimistic. It's like I'm raring to go. I make so much better use of my time in the day when I start my day like this. It's like it shows you exactly what your life can be. So you wake up out of that session and you're like, let me go get it. Let me go do that. Let me get that. Sometimes I even work affirmations into it. So I will start with my visualization, and when I've done all of that, I will just tell myself whatever affirmations I feel like I need to hear at the time. Like, I am beautiful, I am confident, I am productive, I am creative, I'm inspired, whatever it is, I just roll them off in my head and I imagine myself in each of them. I kind of create a picture of myself being confident, being successful, being inspired, being expressive, whatever it is I want to feel, whatever it is I want to embody, whatever traits I want to feel and I want to be, I imagine myself as them. Just think about how happy you could be when you come out of that session. Imagine you've gone into it just feeling so negative and feeling like you're just at a dead end and you're just not in a good place. Now, imagining all of these things and really dedicating a chunk of time to doing that and really feeling it and going into so much detail, imagine how much better that can make you feel when you come out of it. The third type I use, now if you are suffering from an anxiety attack, a panic attack, any kind of moment of panic or any moment where your peace has been disturbed, when you're detached from the present moment, when you're too in your head, that is when this third technique is most useful. This technique is mindfulness meditation. This is all about bringing yourself back to the present moment, which is essentially what mindfulness is. It's to restore your sense of calm and to ground you in the right here, right now, when your mind has taken you away from that. When you get brought back to center, which this technique is designed to do, when you're brought back to center, you are able to gain perspective on your thoughts, perspective on your situation. So, how it works is, you close your eyes and you'll make yourself aware of all of your senses, every part of your body, and your breath. So often, talk through meditation apps like Headspace and stuff like that, usually use this kind of technique of meditation. This is the first one I used and it didn't work for me because I didn't need it for what it provided. This isn't the kind I needed. I needed the first technique. I needed to think through my thoughts and rationalize them. If you do this type of meditation, when you're looking for that one, all you're doing is being taken away from the thing that you need to put your energy towards and you feel like you're just sweeping stuff under the rug. So this one is for when you're in that moment, when you're in that panic and you need to just calm yourself, bring yourself back to center. So there are loads of ways to practice mindfulness and bring yourself back to the present moment in a meditation session. But some of the examples are senses, body parts, and your breath. So I'm going to talk you through each of them. You can go through your entire body from head to toe, literally, and make yourself aware of each body part. Bring your consciousness to that body part and go until you have literally covered your entire body. I'm talking like your eyebrows, your eyes, your nose, your ears, and then go to like your neck, your shoulders. Keep going, each finger, each toe, whatever you need to do. Go literally from top all the way down to the bottom. Now, as you go through each body part, as you bring your consciousness to that body part, relax that part of your body and consciously relieve any tension you might be holding. I do that a lot with my shoulders. I hold so much tension in my shoulders. When I'm stressed, when I'm worked up, I'm like this and I don't even know it. So sometimes when I do that, randomly I'll remember and I'll be like, oh. And you don't realize certain areas of your body are tense until you bring your consciousness to it. And then you intentionally tell yourself, I'm going to relieve tension in this area. The next one is going through your senses. So you can think to yourself, what can I smell? And stop and think, actually experience, what can I smell? You can have your eyes open and name things you can see. Name 5 things you can see in your vision right now. Think about what you can hear. Concentrate, close your eyes and concentrate on the sounds you can hear. Can you hear chatter from people talking outside? Focus in on that sound. Can you hear cars going past? Focus in on that sound. And each time you focus on them for a few moments. Each one. Wherever you've gone, wherever your mind has taken you, this centers you and it brings you straight back. Next one, breath. You can tune into your breath. Notice the pattern of your breathing. You can either notice it and just follow it, just become aware of it and kind of observe it and watch it, just tune into it. Or if your breathing isn't good, if it's panicked, if it's irregular, you can focus on actually regulating your breathing. You can do breathing exercises, you can change your breathing pattern to a calmer, more relaxed, regular state. For example, the 4-7-8 breathing technique is one I love. You breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold your breath for 7 seconds, and then you exhale for 8 seconds. I do that so many times when I feel like I'm, even just like aside from my meditation, just in normal life, if I'm in a situation, let's say I've just come off the phone, had a conversation, and it's planting seeds of anxiety in my mind, or I can feel like I'm at the start of something, or let's say I'm a lot further into a panic, I just stop and I just do breathing. Even if I feel like there's nothing wrong with my breathing, doesn't really need to, I would just stop and I'll just do this breathing exercise for like a minute. I'll just follow the 4-7-8 technique, and afterwards I feel so much better. And I was really skeptical of this before. I remember my therapist telling me about it, I think a long time ago, and I was like, yeah, cool. No. It actually works. If this is something you find kind of difficult to talk yourself through, there are so many options, like the apps I mentioned, like Headspace. There's audios on like Spotify, on YouTube, where it's a guided meditation like this, where they can talk you through it. It can actually be really comforting to be talked through it, especially when you're in a panicked state. And when you kind of fixate on the sound of their voice, that's an added strategy to help ground yourself too. So guided meditations are actually really powerful and really, really useful. So whether you talk yourself through it or do a guided one where you listen to someone else's voice, this technique, mwah. So there are so many other techniques when it comes to meditating. There's not 3, there's so many more. But these are 3 that I specifically use for the different things that I struggle with. So these are the techniques that I've kind of learnt over time and put to practice and have actually noticed positive results from. Alright guys, that is the end of this video. If you do try any of the meditation techniques that I mentioned, or you just have like a second go at meditation in general after this video, please let me know. I would love to know. Tell me about your experience, drop me a message on Insta, drop me a DM, drop me a comment over here. Thank you guys so much for watching or listening. If you're here on Spotify, hey, how you doing? I love you guys so much. Stay safe, stay smiling, stay positive, and I will see you next week. Mwah. I love you guys. Bye guys. Right? Subscribe!